A warm welcome to all the students for today's lecture. Today we are going to study an important concept, okay, that is your finite automata with output. Now so far the finite automatas that we have seen, okay, they are seen as an acceptors. That is, the finite automata that we have discussed, like NFAs, DFAs, null NFAs and so on, they have only worked as acceptors. Okay, meaning what? Given any input string, your finite automata could only tell if the given input string is accepted or rejected. So we have seen in the first unit, okay, also in the second unit, wherever finite automatas came into picture, we were using them as tools, okay, to check whether the given string belongs to a language or not. Only this, right? Now there is an extension to this finite automata. Finite automata can also do the computation, okay, although they don't have auxiliary memory as we have already specified, but the finite automata with slight tweaks here and there, they can do the computation, they can give some output to you, okay. And when any automata or finite automata can do the computation, that means can give the output and not just telling you whether it is accepted or rejected. When it gives a valid output, okay, then that automata is called as a transducer, okay. So transducer is nothing but it's a finite automata with input as well as output. Now these automatas are also called as finite automata with output, and they are very helpful in doing computation of answers for the given input question. As an example, let's consider the finite automata that calculates one's complement of a given input string. So what we do, we give an input binary string as an input to the finite automata, and finite automata will compute the one's complement, and that output string will be given back by the finite automata. So here the finite automata is doing something which is more than acting just as an acceptor. Here it is doing some computation, so that's why the finite automata in this case will be a transducer, right? The second example, say a finite automata that performs binary addition of two input binary numbers. Suppose two input numbers are given to the finite automata, binary numbers, and your finite automata is doing addition, binary addition of those numbers, okay, and gives the sum as the output. Here also the finite automata is doing some addition, some computation. So in both these examples, your finite automata works as a transducer and not just an acceptor, right? So we shall see that there were two different types of automatas which are having this capability of giving the outputs. One is the Moore machine and the second one is the Mealy machine. The names have been given to these finite automatas based on the scientists who came up with the concept, Moore and Mealy respectively. So let us first head on to the Moore machine. Now Moore machine, it's a 6 tuple m equal to q, sigma, q naught, del, delta and lambda. Now where your q, sigma, q naught and del, the first four parameters, they have the usual meanings, okay. So q is what? They are the finite set of states. Sigma is the finite set of input alphabet. Q naught is the start state, and del is the transition function. So state, a particular state on a particular input will take you to the new state. So this is a normal transition function, okay. Now there are two extra parameters that we have taken, delta, capital delta and lambda. Capital delta is called as finite set of output alphabet. Like you have input alphabet over here, sigma, we also have now output alphabet. So as I have told you, the finite automata is going to give you the output. So the symbols in that output will be based on this finite set called as output alphabet set. So output alphabet set will have the symbols that will be used in the output string. May not be same as the input alphabet. And lambda is basically, it is called as the output function. Now for Moore machine and for Mealy machine, this lambda will be different. Now let us see Moore machine. What Moore machine does? In Moore machine, lambda is basically a mapping. So each state, lambda function, what it does, it maps each state to a particular output, okay. So before we continue, I'll just tell you what is a Moore machine, okay. So Moore machine is nothing but, for example, say q naught is the initial state. Okay, Q1 is the next state, and say Q3 is the final state. Okay, just consider that this is the DFA what I am drawing. Fine, and say from Q0 on reading 0 it remains in Q0, on reading 1 it goes to Q1, on reading second one it goes to Q3, any more zeros it remains in Q3, and in between any more zeros it remains in Q1. So but this is a simple DFA, may not have some meaning, but let's say this is a DFA, right? Now what happens when we draw DFA? DFA only tells you that from a particular state, on reading a particular input it goes to other state, right? And in this process, given an input string, the DFA will be only able to tell you whether that string is accepted or rejected. And we say, if after reading the entire input string, if the automata is present in Q3 state, then we say that the string is accepted. Now this is a DFA. Now DFAs are the automatas without output, they don't give output. Now let us modify this DFA. So since I was talking about output, okay, let's assume that, you know, in this particular diagram, let's assume that the output alphabet set delta has two symbols y and n, where y represents yes and n represents no. So what is a Moore machine? Moore machine has q, sigma, q naught, del. So for example, if I want to convert the DFA that I have drawn to Moore machine, what will be q in this case? Q will be the finite set of states. So q naught, q1 and q2. These are the three states. That is q. What is sigma? Input alphabet. As you can rightly see, input alphabet is 0, 1. Right? Then what is the initial state q naught? In our discussion here, initial state is also q naught. Okay. Now one thing you note, in DFA there is something called as final state. We depicted by A. Whereas in the Moore machine, nowhere I have specified the parameter called as A, set of final states. Okay, I will shortly come to that. Okay, remember, in Mealy or the Moore machine, the final states are not required. You don't have to show the final state. Okay, because for every input symbol that is read, the automata gives the output. So you don't require a final state like what we have in DFAs, right? So there is no final state A. Let's go further. What is delta? Capital delta in our case here. Capital delta is the output symbol. As I have just told you, output given by this automata will be either yes or no. Okay, and now let us see how will be the mapping. Lambda, right? So lambda will be such that, let's assume that if the automata reaches q naught state, then the output given will be no. Right? If the automata is in q1 state, the output given will be no, and if the automata is in q2 state, the output given will be yes. So this is lambda, right? So now if I want to convert this DFA into something called as a Moore machine, I will have to do one small modification. If I want to convert this DFA to Moore machine, the first modification is, since Moore machine does not define something called as a final state, I will have to remove this double circle. So there is no longer something called as a final state. But it is also true that if I remove the final state, the automata's meaning will also change, right? So what we will do is, in Moore machine, as I told you, the output function here tells you that each state is mapped to an output. So that means the output is associated with each state. We had drawn DFA and we said Q3 is a final state, that means accepting state. So output parameter delta for this Q3 we will keep it as y. Okay, so let's say for this state Q3, let's say y is the output associated with the state, and since other two were non-final states, the output associated with those I will just keep it as no. Correct? So now what I have done, a small modification to DFA. First, whichever is the final state, I made it non-final state, but then the meaning should not change. So what I did, that final state accepting that I reflected onto the output that is associated with the state. So since Q3 was an accepting state, the output associated with that state I notified that as Y, yes, meaning accepting. And since other two were non-final state, the output associated with that state I depicted as no, right? And as a result, what you see here happens to be a Moore machine. Okay, this is a Moore machine. Fine. So in general, remember, since we are interested in the output for an input, we do not explicitly specify any final state. I have already spoken about it. Now let us consider an example. I have purposely taken an example that we have already solved. This is an example of a Moore machine whose input alphabet sigma is 0, 1 and the output alphabet capital delta is y, n. Y means yes, accepted, n means no, rejected. Now this particular Moore machine that we are designing is for this for the language where, okay, the automata, it outputs yes, that is accepted, if the given string ends with 0, 1. So in short, what is a Moore machine that we want to design? We want to design a Moore machine which is where every string is over sigma, that is 0, 1. That means strings are of zeros and ones, and the machine should accept only those strings that end with 0, 1, and it should reject all those strings that do not end with 0, 1. Simple. Now we have already drawn a DFA. We know how to draw a DFA for the language where every string ends with 0, 1. This is a DFA that we have drawn earlier. So first you have to draw the DFA, okay, and then you have to modify this DFA so that it looks like a Moore machine. So what we have done here, the final state which is there, Q2, I have made it non-final state. But when the final state is made as non-final state, the meaning of the automata will change. Okay, so to reflect that, if you reach Q2 finally, the string would be accepted. I have associated with Q2 a parameter, output parameter, that is Y. Y means yes. Whereas since Q1 and Q0, they are the non-final states, I have associated with them the output parameter as no, no. That means reject, reject. Okay, and when I do that, the what I get is the equivalent Moore machine. Now let us see how the Moore machine works. Okay, so let's say somebody gives the input string 001001. Now according to our machine that we have designed, this string should be accepted. So let's see how Moore machine works. Okay, so let us now trace it. Input string is given to us. Okay, let's write the states, and let's also specify the output associated with each state. Now initially we are in Q0 state. Okay, initially we are in Q0 state here. Now in Q0 state, when 0 is encountered, in Q0 state when 0 is encountered, we go to Q1 state. So from Q0 state, when 0 is encountered, from Q0 we move to Q1 state. Agreed? Now when initially we were in Q0 state, the output associated with that state was no. Correct, no? When we were in Q0 state, the output associated with that state was no. Now that we are in Q1 state, the output associated with Q1 state is again no. Correct? So that means if you just see, so far the string that we have scanned, that is single 0, is rejected. That means the output is no. No means single 0 that is scanned so far, this string, substring called as single 0 should be rejected. That's why the output is no. Now you are in Q1 state. In Q1 state, when 0 is read, what happens? In Q1 state, when 0 is read, you remain in Q1 state and the output is no. Correct? When you are in Q1 state and when 0 is read, what happens? When you are in Q1 state and when 0 is read, okay, from Q1 you remain to state Q1 and the output is no, because you are in Q1 state. So output associated with that state is no. So when you are in Q1 state, okay, when 0 is encountered, you remain in Q1 state itself, and the output associated with that state is no. Okay, which also means that so far we have scanned 2 zeros, and since the string, the valid string should be the one where it should end with 0, 1, so far the string that is being scanned is a wrong string, so it is rejected. That's why the output that you have got here is no. Correct? Now you are in Q1 state. Next input symbol that is read is 1. So from Q1 state, when 1 is read as input, from Q1 you go to Q2 and the output associated with Q2 is Y. Okay, so when you are in Q1, okay, when you are in Q1 and when 1 is read, what happens? You go to Q2 state and the output associated with this Q2 state is yes. Correct. Now if you read, you will realize that so far the string that is being scanned is 001, and since in this string 001 the string ends with 01, so far the string is accepted, right? But this process will not end till the entire input string is totally read. There should not be anything remaining to be read, and only that time we will see the label or the value, the output value associated with each state, okay, with respect to the state where finally the automata goes. Now, so now we are in Q2 state. Now from Q2 state, when 0 is read, what happens? From Q2 state, when 0 is read, you come back to Q1 state. Output associated with Q1 is no. So in Q2 state, when 0 is read as input, you come back to Q1 state, and since you are in Q1 state, the output associated with Q1 state is no. So recall what I said. The currently read string here happens to be 0010, which is a rejected string, which is not correct string. That's why the output is given as no. Now again, when you are in Q1 state and when 0 is read, you remain in Q1 and the output associated with it is no. So I will write the same thing. When you are in Q1 state and when 0 is read, you remain in Q1 state and the output associated with Q1 state will be no. Which also means that so far the substring that we have read, that string is to be rejected. Finally, when you are in Q1 and 1 is encountered, you will go to Q2, right? And the output associated with this Q2 state will be yes. And now finally, since there is nothing else remaining to be read in the input string, there is nothing else remaining to be read in the input string, at that time you check the output given by the state in which the machine is currently present. So currently the machine is in Q2 state, there is no input remaining to be read. That time you check what is the output. The output is Y, and based on this output Y, we say that the Moore machine that we have designed has accepted the string, because the final output given is Y associated with state Q2, because finally after reading the entire string, the machine halts in state Q2 and it outputs the final answer that is associated with state Q2. So this is how you can design a Moore machine for acceptor kind of problems. So I have taken a problem here wherein the problem was a kind of acceptor problem. We had to only check whether the given string is accepted or whether the given string is rejected. Fine. Now let us go for a different kind of problem. Now you see, we have to design a Moore machine to check even parity. Okay. Now let's check how to find out even parity. What is even parity? Basically, if the number of ones in the given binary string, okay, in the string, if the number of ones in the given string are even, okay, then okay, the machine should output yes. That means it is even parity. But if the number of ones in the given string is odd, then the machine should output no. Correct? So I think for the automata that we are designing, there are only two possible states. One will be, I will just name it as Q0 state, and the output associated with this state will be no, and the second state will be Q1 state, and the output associated with this state will be 1. Okay, so I will just put it in the box. So these are the outputs associated with each state. So which means that your Moore machine, it will be in state q1 if the number of ones happen to be even. I will just do it in a different way. In place of y here and no here, I will do it opposite. Let's say output associated with q1 is no, output associated with q0 is yes. Okay, now what it means, if suppose in the given string, if there is a single one encountered, that means odd number of one encountered, then the machine goes into q1 state and it outputs no. That means even parity is not there, right? But if the number of ones happens to be 2 or even number, correct, then the machine will go to state q0. Okay, so for the first one it will go to q1. Since odd number of ones encountered, the output should be no. We are checking even parity, correct? So then suppose even number of ones are encountered, 1 1, then even parity is there, so our output should be yes, and so on. And what about the zeros in between? Okay, so we will have zeros here and zeros here. Okay, so this is basically the Moore machine that we have designed. Now let us trace. Okay, suppose the input that is given to us is say 0 0 1 0 and 1. This is the input that is given to us. Now let's check whether this input is accepted or rejected. So I will write states here and I will write the outputs here. Okay, now initially we are in q0 state. The output associated with this q0 state happens to be yes, correct? Now in q0 state, when the 0 is encountered, you remain in that q0 state, okay, and the output associated with that is yes. It actually means that so far the substring that is scanned 0 happens to be a even parity string, because there are number of, how many ones are present? 0 number of ones, so that's a even parity. Now again, now we are in q0 state. In q0 state, when 0 is encountered, what happens? When you are in q0 state and when again another 0 is encountered, you remain in q0 state only, and the output associated with the state is y. So you remain in q0 and the output associated with the state happens to be y, which also means if there are only 2 zeros in the given string, that string is also of even parity, right? Next, again in q0 state, when 1 is encountered, when the single one is encountered, from q0 I go to q1 state, and the output associated with that state q1 is no. Okay, which means that so far the string that has been scanned, that is 0 0 1, has odd number of ones, so such strings does not have even parity, so the answer should be no, the string is not accepted, correct? Then further, okay, when you are in q1 state, when another 0 is encountered, what happens? From q1 you remain in q1. That means although another 0 is encountered, the number of ones are still odd and the output associated with q1 is no. That means so far the string that is being scanned has odd number of ones, so it is not even parity. Answer is no. But finally when you are in q1, when another one is encountered, you go back to q0. When you are in q1 state, okay, when you are in q1 state and when another one is encountered, what has happened? Okay, when another one is encountered, you go back to q0 state and it outputs y. First one you go to q1, second one you go to q0. So now from q1, when another one is encountered, you go to q0 and the output associated with that is yes. Now finally there is nothing else remaining to be read in the input string. Now the machine checks, okay, I am in which state? I am in q0 state. Okay, fine. And then machine checks, okay, what is the output associated with my current state? Y. That means the given string is accepted. So this is how the Moore machine works. Next we are going to see what is a Mealy machine. Now we have already seen that in Moore machine the output is directly associated with the state. right? That means each state has a unique associated value of output, that is lambda. Now in Mealy machine, the output is dependent on both, that is what is the current state as well as what is the current input symbol. Okay, so let's see the definition of Mealy machine. Let m equal to q sigma q naught del. These are the old parameters, delta and lambda, be the tuple, where q is the finite set of states, sigma is the finite set of input alphabet, del is a transition function, q naught is the initial state. Okay, also what is delta I have not written here, but capital delta is nothing but the finite set of output alphabet, and lambda is nothing but it's an output function. Whereas in the previous case the output function was it was a mapping function. That means each state q was directly mapped to the output alphabet. Okay, this was in case of Moore machine. In case of the Mealy machine, the output is nothing but it's a cross product of the state and the input. Okay, and apart from all this parameter, the last parameter is delta. We all already know what is delta. Delta is nothing but it is the output alphabet. Okay, now as an example, just to compare, okay, I have taken the same machine. Okay, now earlier we had designed a Moore machine, okay, where sigma was 0, 1, del was yes or no, and the machine was doing what? It is to output yes if the given string was ending with 0, 1, right? And now just to compare, we are now designing the same, for the same problem we are designing now the Mealy machine instead of Moore machine. This is the already known DFA that we have now. So whenever you are constructing Mealy machine, what will happen is, see here, this is the resultant Mealy machine. As you can see here, okay, output is no longer associated with the states like q0, q1 and q2. These are the states, but output is now associated with what? Output is now associated with two things. Okay, output is associated with what is the current state and what is the current input symbol read, right? So as I have already told you that lambda, okay, lambda, that is the output function that is associated with the cross product of q cross sigma, and that gives you output. So now you just see transition from state q0. Okay, just observe here, transition from state q0 on reading 1 gives takes you to q0 state, right? So transition from the state q0 on reading 1 takes you to the q1 state. So this is basically a transition function which defines input. Now lambda function for this will be output from state q0 when 1 is read. Okay, so output from state q0 when 1 is read. Okay, I can just say output is n, example. That means from state q0 when 1 is read as input, the output generated for that transition is no. Suppose I want to say that, then I will have to write /n. So that means now you read it like this. Okay, from state q0 on reading input 1, it goes to q1, it goes to q0 itself, and for that transition, okay, the output that is generated is no. So this is how Mealy machine has outputs associated along the transition lines and not associated with the states, right? So with this setup, okay, now let us quickly see, okay, this DFA, how we can modify this to a Mealy machine. Now first of all, the very first thing is, first you design a DFA. Second, the final state, now you convert it as non-final state, right? The final state Q2 you convert it to non-final state, right? Now what this particular machine is doing, this DFA here if the given string is accepted, it takes you to Q2, and if the string is not accepted, it takes you to any other states, Q0 and Q1. That means what you have to do is, in the modified version of DFA, when you are going to design the Mealy machine, all those transitions that take you towards Q2, like for example from Q1, from state Q1, okay, from state Q1, on reading 1 it takes you to Q2, right? So this is that one transition that takes you to the final state Q2, right? For this transition, whenever you are defining output, this output will be yes. That means when you are going to reach Q2 state, then the string will be accepted. Whereas for all other transitions which are taking you to the non-final states, okay, the output that is associated will be no. Okay, so then this will be a Mealy machine. Now let us see how this Mealy machine accepts the given input. So let's say the given input is 0 0 1 0 0 1. I'll write states here and I will write the outputs here. Notice that in Mealy machine the outputs are no longer associated with the states alone, but they are associated with what is my current state and what is the input symbol read, right? So initially we are in Q0 state, right? In Q0 state, when 0 is encountered, what happens? In Q0 state, when the first 0 is encountered, from Q0 you go to Q1 state, right? So from Q0 you go to Q1 state, right? And the output associated with that transition happens to be no, correct? So the output associated with that transition happens to be no, correct? So the output associated with the transition happens to be no. Now the output is no longer associated with the state, correct? Next, you are in Q1 state. Now from state Q1, on reading 0 you remain in Q1 only, correct? From Q1 on reading 0 you remain in Q1 only, and the output associated is no, correct? So from Q1 on reading 0, what happens? You remain in state Q1 only, right? But the output that is associated will be no, correct? Which means so far the string that is read 0 0 is not accepted, correct? Then you are now in Q1 state. In Q1 state, when 1 is read, we move to Q2 and the output associated is y, yes, correct? So from Q1, when 1 is encountered, okay, from Q1 when 1 is encountered, okay, from state Q1 when 1 is encountered, you go to state Q2 and the output associated with that state is yes, correct? Now you are in Q2 state. In Q2 state, when 0 is encountered as the input, okay, you make a transition from Q2 to Q1. So from Q2, when 0 is encountered as the input, you make a transition from Q2 to Q1, and the output that is associated with this transition Q2 to Q1 happens to be no, correct? So you are in Q1 state. Further, from Q1, when 0 is encountered, you move to Q1 and the output associated with the transition is no, okay? So from Q1, on when 0 is encountered, you go to Q1 and the output associated with the transition is no, fine? And finally when you are in Q1, when 1 is encountered, you move from Q1 to Q2, okay, you move from Q1 to Q2 and the output associated with that transition is yes, y, right? Finally, when there is no input that is remaining to be read, you just check what is the output, the final output that we have got, right? The final output that we have got is yes, and based on what is the final output, okay, what is the output of the final transition, okay, we say that the given string is accepted. Yes, fine. So only difference between the Mealy and Moore machine is that in Moore machine the outputs are associated with the states. Each state has an associated output value, whereas in Mealy machine outputs are no longer associated with the states. In Mealy machine the outputs are associated with the transitions. Okay, so to find out the output you need to know what is the current state and you need to also know what is the current input symbol, right? So this is basically the Mealy machine. Note, output is not associated with the state but with the state Q and input sigma. So it is based on two things. That's why the output function lambda can be a cross product of Q cross sigma giving delta. Now next we are going to design a Mealy machine for binary adder. Okay, now binary addition is a task, okay, which can be done by Mealy or Moore machine, right? Apart from the usual yes or no job, it can process certain thing and can give the output. So this is a very good example, you know, of Mealy machine doing processing, right? Now let's start. What is a binary addition or binary adder? So it basically does addition of two binary numbers. For example, if you have a number 0 1 1 0 0 1 and the second number is 1 1 0 1 0 0, so this is a number. Now when you add this number, whenever you do addition, okay, there is always, you know, two things. One is either you are in a carry state or you are not in the carry state. Now when will you reach the carry state? If after doing a calculation, okay, if a carry is generated which can be which can go to the next calculation, then you say that after doing that addition you are now in the carry state. That means carry is generated which is propagated further, right? So let's, initially you are in no carry state. Okay, initially we are in no carry state. So now when you are in no carry state, 1 plus 0 gives you 1, and from no carry state you remain in no carry state. Okay, there is no carry generated. So again, when you are in no carry state, when the first input is 0 and second input is 0, the output will be 0 and still you are in no carry state, correct? Then again, when you are in no carry state, when 0 is the first input, 1 is the second input, okay, the output of this is 1 and you will again be in no carry state, right? Similarly, if the first input is 1, the second input is 0, you are in no carry state now. If the first input is 1, second input is 0, the output will be 1 and you will be again in no carry state, right? So in general I can say that in no carry state, suppose I am in no carry state, if the first input is 0, second input is 0, the output will be 0, okay, and you will remain in no carry state, correct? Again, in no carry state, suppose the first input is 1, second input is 0, the output will be 1 and you will again remain in no carry state, correct? Similarly, if the first input is 0, second input is 1, the output will be 1 and you will remain in no carry state. This is been happening so far, correct? But notice that if you are in no carry state, there is no carry generated, and that time suppose the first input is 1, the second input is 1, then the output will be 0 and from a no carry state you will go to the carry state, so carry will be generated, correct? So see this, you are so far you are in no carry state, we have seen, right? So now when 1 is the first input, 1 is the second input, you are already in no carry state now. When the first input is 1, second input is 1, the output will be 0, and since there will be a carry that will be propagated further, that means the state will change. You are in no carry state, now you will be in carry state. So when the first input is 1, second input is 1 in no carry state, the output will be 0, right? The output will be 0 and from a no carry state you will go to the carry state. And carry state meaning there will be a carry that is generated. I will write the carry here. Fine. Now when you are in a carry state, just notice if the first input is 0 and second input is 1. Notice you are in carry state, that means there is one carry which is already there, and if the first input is 0, the second input is 1. Okay, what will be the answer? Okay, so 0 plus 1, and this carry is also there, so the output of this will be 0. Okay, so 0, 1 and this 1 is there, output will be 0, and we will remain in the carry state only, right? So that's how, when there is a carry that is generated here, 0 plus 1 plus the carry, the answer here will be 0, and that carry will be still propagated further, which will be reflected here. So from a carry state you will remain in the carry state, correct? Now we will slightly try and see what are the other possibilities. Suppose in place of this 1, suppose there was 0. Okay, and let's assume that we have not done this calculation. So far we were in no carry state. We were in no carry state. 1 plus 1, this calculation I'm talking about. I was in no carry state. 1 plus 1. Okay, the output was 0 and the carry was generated. So from no carry state we are into the carry state. That means there is a carry that is generated. Okay, so I have slightly done the modification. In place of 1 here I have just replaced it with 0, and let's see what happens. So 1 plus 1 and no carry generated so far gives you 0, and from a no carry state you have gone to the carry state. That means carry is generated. Now in carry state, now you are in carry state. In carry state, if the first input is 0 and the second input is 0, notice that you are in carry state. That means there is a carry generated here. So what will be the output of this? The answer of this will be 1. The answer of this will be 1, and there won't be any carry that will be propagated further. So that means from this carry state you move to the no carry state. Okay, so I will write it here. When you are in carry state, suppose the first input is 0 and the second input is also 0, the output here will be 1, and from a carry state you will come back to no carry state, correct? Now I will try to change. Okay, let's see, let's assume that this part of calculation was not yet done. Okay, one thing is very clear that these 1 and 1 is being added, and from no carry state we have gone to carry state. That much we have done. Now suppose I try to change this 0 to 1. Okay, so since after doing this addition the carry is already there, so in carry state, suppose you are in carry state, that means there is already one carry. If the first input is 1, the second input is 0, what will happen? Okay, so in carry state, if the first input is 1 and the second input is 0, what will happen? So what is the result of this addition? 0, 1 and this 1. So the output will be 0 here. The output will be 0, and from a carry state you will remain in carry state. Why? Because 1 plus 0 plus this carry 1, the answer to this is 0, and there is still further carry that is generated that will be reflected here. So from a carry state, you are in carry state while doing this addition, and after doing the addition you will remain in the carry state. That means the carry is propagated further. So from carry state you are still in carry state. Agreed? So when you are in carry state, when the first input is 1, the second input is 0, output happens to be 0 and the carry is propagated further. So you from carry state you remain in carry state. That's the meaning of it. And finally, again I will do the modification. Suppose in place of this 0 there was 1. Okay, and suppose this part was not calculated, only this part was calculated. Okay, so let's say you are in no carry state, 1 plus 1. Okay, in no carry state 1 plus 1, answer was 0, and from no carry state you move to the carry state. So we have done this, let's say. Okay, the first input was 1, second input was 1, the output happened to be 0, and from no carry state you move to the carry state. Okay, and now let's see, when you are in carry state, what happens when the first input is 1 and the second input is also 1? What happens? Okay, so I will write here, when the first input is 1 and the second input is 1, in carry state, what will be the output for this? What will be the result of this? The result will be 1, and there will be a carry that will be propagated further, that will be reflected here. So output of this is, result will be 1, and from carry state you will still remain in the carry state, right? So this is how the addition will work, a binary addition will work. So the binary adder that we are planning to design, I feel that it will have only two states. One state will be NC or no carry state, the second state will be C or the carry state. Okay, so let's design two states. Let's say my first state will be NC or no carry state, and my second state will be C or the carry state, right? Now as it is, we are going to write these inputs and the outputs. Okay, so when you are in no carry state, initially what happened? Okay, so let's say in no carry state, if 0 is encountered here, there was no carry that propagated further, and in that case the first input was 0, the second input was 0, the output was 0, and you remain in the carry state, correct? So now in no carry state, if the first input happens to be 0 and the second input also is 0, the output happens to be 0, and from no carry state you remain in the no carry state only. Same thing happens in this case. Now 1 and 0, there was no carry that was generated. So when you are in no carry state, and if the first input is 1, second input is 0, the output is 1, and you remain in the no carry state. Okay, so this one, correct? So in no carry state, if the first input happens to be 1 and the second input happens to be 0, the output is 1 and you remain in no carry state, right? The third thing is 0 1. Now suppose in place of the first element and second element here, suppose this was 1 and suppose this was 0. Okay, and notice that there is no carry that is being propagated from the previous calculation. So assume that means you are in no carry state. So when you are in no carry state, if the first input happens to be okay, this should be assume that this is 0, assume that this one is 0 and this one is 1. Okay, so from the previous calculation there is no carry that is generated, so you are in no carry state. So whenever you are in no carry state, if the first input happens to be 0, second input is 1, and there is no carry over here, the answer will be 1 and you will remain in no carry state only, right? So this is the third thing. Okay, so I will write it here. If the first input is 0, the second input is 1, the output will be 1, and from no carry state you will remain in the no carry state only. So we have seen these three cases. Now the fourth case, okay, something which happened over here. So far there was no carry that is generated. Now in no carry state, if the first input is 1 and the second input is 1, what happens? The output is 0, but you make a transition from no carry state to the carry state because the carry is now propagated to the next calculation, right? So I will just draw the same thing. So when you are in no carry state, when the first input happens to be 1 and the second input happens to be 1, the output is 0, but there is a carry generated. So from no carry state you move on to the carry state. Okay, so we have taken care of this also. Now let's see what happens when you are in carry state. Assume that you are already in carry state. Okay, if the first input is 0, okay, now please note you are in carry state, that means carry is already generated. So that means suppose the first input in carry state is 0 and the second input in carry state is 1, correct? And since I am talking about carry state, there is already one carry which is generated. What will be the output? Okay, so this is a carry that is generated, correct? So the output of this will be 0, correct? The output of this will be 0, and there will be still further carry that will be propagated for the next calculation, right? So when you are in carry state, when the first input happens to be 0, second input is 1, output will be 0 and the carry will be propagated further. So that means from carry state you still remain in the carry state. Okay, so that's how this is solved. Next, suppose you are in carry state. Suppose there is a carry which is already generated, okay, from the previous calculation. Let's see. Okay, so suppose from the previous calculation there is a carry that is generated, and now so you are in carry state, and in carry state if the first input happens to be 0, second happens to be also 0, what will happen? When the first input is 0, the second input is also 0. In presence of carry, the output here will be 1, definitely, and there won't be any carry that will be propagated further, so there won't be any carry. So that means when you are in carry state, correct, when you are in carry state, when the first input is 0 and the second input is also 0, the output here will be 1, correct, the output here will be 1, but there won't be any carry generated forward. That means from a carry state you come back to no carry state. Fine. So this is how this result is considered. Then let's say you are in a carry state, but the first input is 1, the second input is 0. What will happen? You are in a carry state, and suppose the first input is 1. Okay, you are in a carry state. That means carry is already generated from the previous calculation, and the first input is 1, second input is 0. What will happen? What will be the result of this? The output of this will be 0, and there will be a carry that is generated forward. That means in carry state, when you have the first input is 1, second input is 0, the output will be 0, and from a carry state you remain in the carry state. Okay, so that solves this one. And finally we are going to see the last one, that is 1 1. So assume that you are in the carry state. Okay, that means a carry from the previous calculation is there, and suppose the first input is 1, the second input is also 1. Then what will happen? The answer of this result will be 1, and there will be a carry that will be propagated further, so that will be reflected here. So that means when you are in carry state, when the first input is 1, the second input is also 1, the output will be 1, and from a carry state you will remain in the carry state. Okay, so what you see in front of you here, this is the resultant Mealy machine for this particular problem. Okay, so let us now try to solve. Okay, using this Mealy machine, let us now try to solve. Suppose the problem that is given to us is this 0 1 1 0 0 and 1 1 1 1 1. Suppose these are the numbers to be added. Okay, so let us now trace this. Okay, so the first calculation, I'll use a different color. So you are in no carry state. First input is 0. You are in no carry state. First input is 0, second input is 1. Just see, when you are in no carry state, first input is 0, second input is 1. What will happen? The output will be 1. Okay, that means the output will be 1, and you will remain in no carry state. That means you won't have any carry that is generated, so you will remain in no carry state. So for the further calculation also you are in no carry state. You are in the same state. Next, in no carry state, so you are in no carry state only. In no carry state, if the first input is 0, second is 1, again 0 1, the output will be 1, and you will still remain in the no carry state, right? The output will be 1, and you will still remain in no carry state. It means no carry is generated. Correct. Then you are in NC. Now in no carry state, when the first input is 1, second input is 1, then what will happen? The first input is 1, second input is 1, then the output will be 0 and you will move to the carry state. So answer of this, according to your diagram, the output will be 0. So I write 0 here, correct? And from no carry state I have moved to carry state. So here there is a carry that is generated, and carry means 1. Remember this, carry means 1, no carry means 0, correct? So you are in carry state now. In carry state, if the first input is 1, second input is 1, what will happen? The output is 1. Okay, because I told you carry means 1, correct? So 1 plus 1 plus 1, so that is 1, and the carry will be propagated further. That means output will be 1 and you will remain in the carry state. So that carry will be propagated further here, correct? Again, you are in carry state. You are in carry state. Fine. If the first input is 0 and the second input is 1, in the carry state output will be 0, okay, and you will remain in the carry state. So the output of this will be 0, fine, and you will remain in the carry state. That means there will be a carry that is generated for further. The carry will be generated. Now that carry will be reflected here, and this is the answer. So this is how a milli machine for binary adder can be designed, right? Now if you want to convert this milli to Moore machine, if you want to design in place of milli machine, if you want to design a Moore machine, fine, then instead of associating these outputs with the transitions, you will have to associate the outputs with the states, right? NC, no carry, and C, that is carry, plus the output. Okay. Next, before we go to the next concept, we will design a milli machine for even parity checker. Now we have already discussed what is an even parity checker. Even parity checker, it simply says if the number of ones in the given binary string is even, okay, that means there is a even parity. The answer will be yes. Okay. Otherwise, if the number of ones in the given string is odd, then the answer will be no. Fine. So accordingly, for the milli machine, you will have two states, say Q0 and Q1. Fine. Now there is nothing called as a final state, so all the outputs we will be associating with the transitions. Okay, that's simple. Now suppose the given input string is only single 0. Okay, how many number of ones are there here? 0 number of ones. So it's a even parity, even number of ones are there. So such string should be accepted. So when you are in Q0 state, I can simply say when you are in Q0 state, okay, when 0 is encountered as the input symbol, okay, you remain in Q0 and the output will be yes, that means accepted. Similarly, if somebody gives a string of n number of zeros, that also should be accepted. So from Q0 on reading 0, okay, any number of 0, the output will be always yes, even parity. Now if somebody gives you a string, say 1, single 1, now here the number of ones is odd, so it should not be accepted. Okay, so I will say that from Q0, when 1 is encountered, the output will be no, and you go to Q1 state. Now students, please note, in Moore machine you had associated the outputs along with the states. That's why in the Moore machine you said system will remain in Q0 state if the answer is no, and system will remain in Q1 state if the answer is yes. But here you cannot associate states with the outputs. You cannot say that Q1 is the accept state, Q0 is a reject state. No, none of the states is accept or reject. The accept or reject will be decided by the transition Okay, so two things are considered: what is the current state and what is the current input, and based on that the output will be there. So you cannot assume and say that okay, system has gone to Q1 state, so that means the string is accepted, or system remains in Q0 state, that means it is rejected. No. Okay, nothing has the states have got nothing to do with the yes or no. It is only the transitions here, so please remember. Now if somebody gives you, okay, single 1 is accepted. Now what if there are 2 1s? The string has 2 1s. Okay, so from Q0 on reading single 1, okay, you go to Q1, the output is no. But when you have the second one from Q1, on reading the second one, that is the even number of 1, the output is yes, accepted. Now the reason behind drawing two states here was to show odd and even sequence, correct? So if the odd number of 1s are encountered, it will always come here. See, suppose somebody has given you a string where there are 3 number of 1s, okay, or 5, 1 2 3 4 5 number of 1s, odd. What will happen? 1 2 3 4 and 5th one you are going to come to Q1. You notice what's the output? Output will be no, so rejected. And similarly also, okay, see, now in between there could be n number of zeros, correct? In between there could be some number of zeros, correct? Now if somebody gives you a string, for example 0 1 0 1, okay, 1 0, suppose this string is given. Now initially you are in Q0 state. When the first 0 is encountered, the output will be y and you remain in Q0. Okay, when the second one is encountered, okay, you go to Q1 and output is no. Then in Q1, what happens when 0 is encountered? Okay, so in Q1, when a 0 is encountered, okay, the output will be no, because so far if you see this string, so far how many number of 1s have been encountered? Odd number of 1s have been encountered. Okay, see, you will always come to this particular, you will always come from Q0 to Q1 on odd number of 1s. If the number of 1 at any time becomes even, then from Q1 you will go back to Q0, right? So when you are in Q1 and if you get a 0, it means that before this 0, odd number of 1s have been occurred, no matter how many zeros have occurred. So in any way, even one or more zeros are encountered in Q1 state, all those strings should be rejected. So that's why this is no. Whereas when you come to Q0, you come to Q0 only after realizing that just now even number of 1s have been encountered. So after even number of 1s, no matter how many zeros are encountered, the string will be always in the yes state or accepting state, correct? So this is an example of a Mealy machine, okay, for even parity checker.